Hello, everybody. Meteorologist Hutch Johnson joining you. It is 8:40. I have an update on what's going on with the radar. We have strong and severe thunderstorms rolling through. A new tornado warning to let you know about in parts of western Minnesota. Your forecast updated, a complete and comprehensive look. Join me now. Drop a comment. Let me know if some storms hit your area or if you just got the muggy air you can wear. Details are coming up in this version of Hutch's Weather.
Now, a Hutch's Weather Update with Chief Meteorologist Hutch Johnson. Brought to you by Robert Gibb and Sons.
All right, even though we do have a cold front that's working its way through, we're still pretty hot, pretty muggy. It's still near 90 in Pierre, but look at this, 70s up in northwest parts of North Dakota. Right now, Grand Forks 81, 79 in Fargo-Moorhead. We have 79 as well for you folks in Park Rapids and Detroit Lakes as well. The Twin Cities at 81 degrees. Here's a look at that radar right now as we head into the evening hours. Some stout thunderstorms do continue. We have a severe thunderstorm warning that does include Thief River Falls and some active weather working its way toward the Madison area right now. As they're all kind of diving to the south or southeast. This storm just missing Thief River Falls to the south and east. You definitely got rain, but the big time portion of the storm with that hail potential heading right into St. Hilaire right now. So if you're in St. Hilaire, chance of some hail. This is above the ground by quite a ways, so this is what the radar sees way out there above St. Hilaire. That radar beam goes up at an angle, and as Pedro scratches, I'm going to let you know that these hailstones showing up pretty high up in the sky, but generally as we go down to the lower part of the atmosphere, they could melt, become a little bit smaller. Let us know what you see there in the St. Hilaire area. So this is where the storm is moving. There was a hail report of 1-inch diameter hail just across the county line with Marshall County a little bit ago. And you notice that the heaviest part of this thunderstorm that's exiting through St. Hilaire and points south and east now, exiting the warned box. So here's a look at what we have going on. Thanks for your questions. I see you out there, Cheryl. I see you, G. Love Gorillas. And Amara, thank you all for watching. Nathan, good to have you on as always. So 1-inch hail and 60-mile-per-hour winds. 8:45 is the time when this warning is set to expire. Here's the good news. The trend, the overall trend for the amount of lightning and the intensity on these reflectivity is dropping. This storm is waning in its intensity right now with the heaviest of the hail that was and the onset of the warning, as a matter of fact. BA, good to have you on board. If you do have a question, let me know what you're seeing, what you'd like to know. And thank you so much for your support, as always. Taking you down to the southern part of Minnesota here, where we do have a storm that's really skirted the South Dakota border now with I-29 working its way into Watertown. Severe thunderstorm warnings now replacing tornado warnings a little bit ago. In the Millbank area, we have a report of 3/4-inch diameter hail, and we did get some pretty gusty winds with these storms as they're working their way to Stockholm all the way into Bellingham, as well as Correll right now. That's where these storms exist. This particular warning, which does include the Ortonville area, although the heaviest of the thunderstorm activity is outside of your area, likely you're getting some gusty north winds. So that's what's going on down to the south. These storms moving to the south, 17 miles per hour, and that means some heavy rains with these storms. So now as we take a look at the radar scene from across the region, you see one storm here, one storm by International Falls, and a cluster of nonsense going on from Montevideo down towards and nearing Watertown. Let's just target the hail, shall we? Here's a look at the hail tracker, and we can see just a little nugget of hail left in this cell that's working its way in towards and south of Thief River and into St. Hilaire. What does that mean? Well, if I query some of these colors, 1/2-inch diameter hail, which means that as far as things are concerned here, the severe level of this storm is really waning down right now, moving into St. Hilaire, but the largest of the hail in and around your particular area. Zoom out and then zoom back in down here, and we got us some problems down here, Houston. No, we're not in Houston, but as we go down towards Millbank, here's a look at some of the hail size estimates with the storms here. We're talking 1¼ inch diameter hail as we are in that Millbank area. And what did they report on the ground? Looks like a report there of about 1-inch diameter hail. And then as we go out towards Correll, we do have 1¼ inch diameter hail as well. And South Shore, do you see that? 2.2? That's big time hail estimated by the Doppler radar right over South Shore right now. 2.2 inches in a couple different places. And again, not everybody in these warned areas will get the largest of the hail. And do note this, even if you're close to one of these warning boxes, you too could get some weather that isn't so light as a feather. That's right, because there's some stormy weather working its way south of Clark in South Dakota right now as well. That's what's going on. Now let's talk a little bit about the changes that are in the offing here, because we do have some doozies coming. Thing number one, I want to get to more of a national view, and then we'll take a look at what's going on with our temperatures, because there's a cold front that's going to leave us and leave this hot, muggy air in the dust. Here's temperature change across the nation. Pick out the blue areas and you could see where the big time cool down is happening. In the big sky country of Montana and western parts of the Dakotas, we have some cooler air making its way in. Hi, Cheryl. Good to have you watching from Emmaville. We're going over some photos that people have shared from tonight's storms, but it's this cool pool of air knifing into the hot nonsense that we have that's creating some of our stormy weather. Now on hutchesweather.com, we did get some great photos of the tornadic activity tonight. And thanks so very much to all of you who have shared photos. Check this out. Ooh, geez, out there. That tube that laid down there near the South Dakota, North Dakota border was something else. Here's a look at what it looked like at the cruise night in West Fargo. Thanks so much, Amber in West Fargo. I hope you had a good time out there tonight. Some clouds Eric caught here South Moorhead that had this is called a roll cloud, detached from the sun, rolling along. Those are really cool to see as well. But it was that afternoon tube. This one, whoops, I must have clicked twice. Jason, thank you for uploading that. Just look at the size of that near the Dakota Magic Casino out there, 4 miles off and outside of that particular area. And then we had these photos of that same event. This is right from the fueling station out there. Chris sharing this. Lizakowski, thank you so very, very much for that. And Chris says a 21-minute tornado on the ground. That is something else. That is a long-lived type storm, but you can see that tube was down in contact with the ground, had a long ways to stretch from the clouds, as opposed to some of them real wide ones that we get out there. And it was pretty humid out there as well, but still amazing photo shared with us by Chris. Thank you so very much. And here's what that storm looked like from across the border. This is looking at it from Rossholt, so in the same general vicinity as the one prior, and Cassandra here capturing that at about 5 o'clock this very Thursday afternoon. And then there's the calm after the storm. We did get the look at the I don't know what I did here. Let me just click once. There we go. Looking at the good old-fashioned rainbow out there in Elbow Lake. Thanks so much, Megan, for sharing that. And then we had this. How about that sunset in the DL area painting in the sky? This looks like a photo that you could take and hang on your wall. Thank you so much, Julia, for sharing. And Julia shared another. This is a real cool look at our weather is in flight, and this plane's dragging in some big-time change. Thank you so much. Flying off into the sunset. Indeed, that's the case. And look at this little cumulonimbus cloud in the making here. This is a rising thunderstorm trying to get formed out there in that Warren area. Thank you so much, Kathy Jones, for sharing. So thanks again to all of you who've uploaded your photos. Shall we talk forecast? Gail Gammon says hi from Hendrum, and we are destroying a house. What is the weather for Saturday? Tearing down a house, the weather for Saturday is delightful. And in fact, you ask and ye shall receive. Check it out. Saturday, Sunday, I've got harvest weather. Whether you're destroying a house or harvesting and bringing in the crops, we're talking about some sunny and dry weather, albeit cool. So if you're working outside, it looks like we're going to enjoy some, maybe some muggy free weather out there as we go through. Clarine, thank you for the comments to all the photo takers out there. I'm sure they appreciate your gratitude for those pictures. They are indeed nice. BA's asking, is this storm heading towards Glencoe? Well, let me answer that one here for you, BA. Thank you for your question. We'll go right to the hour-by-hour forecast. And what we're going to do is we're going to look at whatever model is handling the situation right now the best. The last few days I've been mentioning, I thought things would be pretty spotty in nature, and that's what we saw today. It wasn't widespread thunderstorms, but just a storm here and a storm there. Now this model looks like it's starting out okay, and then as we go through, notice that this one that is making its way southward moves straight south, not necessarily into Glencoe, which is a little more over on this side of the map, right? So the risk of storms for you isn't zero, but it does look like that the activity that we're going to see there is going to wane and dissipate as we head toward the morning hours. But we will have a repeat of some convective activity in the form of thunderstorms working their way along the North Dakota, South Dakota border. again for tomorrow. Do we have to worry about severe weather tomorrow? It does not look like it in our neck of the woods as we go through our day, but there will be a decent chance of showers and some rain on their Friday out there in Glencoe and out there at the good old-fashioned Minnesota State Fair. If you're heading out in that general direction, do know we could have a passing shower as we go through the middle of your day. I hope that answers your question, BA. Thank you very much. Kathy, what's the temp going to be like in the Langdon area this weekend? Cool pool is what I'd like to say for my friends in Langdon. That's right, we're talking mid 60s up there. We'll go over that in just 1 second too. Stephen Rocky Singleton says, I saw a tornado in Cheyenne, Wyoming passed in August. I'll tell you what, high country can even see them. Did you know Cheyenne, Wyoming is higher in elevation than the mile-high city of Denver, Colorado? Yeah, it's over 6,000 feet there in Cheyenne. That's nosebleed territory. All right, MH says, are we done with the Canadian smoke in the air? No, check this out. If you missed my cut-in I did with live tornado coverage, you see all this milky white crud out here? That schmutz is smoke, but that's smoke in the upper levels of the atmosphere. The air quality here at the surface isn't too bad. So we'll take a look at that for you right now with the purple air. This is a measurement of the quantity or how much smoke and junk is in the atmosphere. And this is at the ground, right? So our instruments on the ground are measuring a little bit of an elevation here in the yellow areas, but it's nowhere near the kind of dense smoke that we've had before. So these values in the yellow are not as bad as they've been. But if you really have susceptible respiratory conditions going on here, the really young, the elderly, you may want to limit your exposure. But look at out where that schmutzy smoke looked like it was. And at the surface, we got green things going on. That's that northwest wind sweeping it away. And even up where the source is for many of these fires, things are not looking too terribly bad out in those neck of the woods. So that's the smoke in the air. Here's a look at the smoke forecast really quick because you asked, and I shall just do my goodest to make sure you know. Yeah, the smoke we see on the satellite. This is surface smoke, by the way, not much of it near the ground. Now let's take a look at the vertically integrated smoke through the whole depth of the atmosphere. See if it matches up with what we're seeing with our eyes on that satellite. All that schmutz I was talking about. Oh, there it is. There's your schmutz, and it's right there. What happens to that? As the cold front pushes through, it glides right on out of here. Now, there are some fires in the Rocky Mountain West, and those are going to increase the amount of smoke in the atmosphere, but this is not at the surface. This is above the ground in the big sky country of Montana and wonderful portions of the cowboy state in the far north. That's what's going on there. Shane, what's the weather for Minnetonka? Shane, thanks for asking. It looks pretty good out there in Minnetonka, or if you happen to be heading out to the state fair, we're looking at some cool conditions, and it looks rainy again for tomorrow into tomorrow afternoon for your area, maybe a rumble of thunder as well. Let's go back to the weather map and we'll go ahead and show you. I did go over the basics of the forecast. Let's start with your overnight lows, then we'll go to more details. Overnight lows across our region, morning temperatures in the mid 60s for you in Minnetonka, and it looks like temperatures near 60 here in the FM area. But do you see this green yellow pool of cool? That's right. If I had sunglasses, I'd don those babies right now because we're talking cool weather with 50s. Are you kidding me? We've had overnight lows near 70. It's going to feel refreshing. Afternoon highs still a little hot here in the Red River Valley near 80. Out at the Twin Cities, you can expect temperatures near 80. I'm going to the State Fair on Saturday. So Shane, it looks like the Friday afternoon forecast looking like there'll be some showers passing through. I'll get to your Saturday forecast momentarily if you can hang with me. Now, the rain showers that are going to be moving through with these little clusters of storms. Take a look at this. I made this graphic based on some model information earlier. We did not get widespread storms up here. This is not going to happen. We had the one cell form. One cell form near Thief River Falls. That's it. And a few up near Rainy Lake, right? And the Lake of the Woods area. That's it. So, yeah, you can erase that with my pencil eraser out here and say, it didn't happen. That's what I mean when I say models tend to overblow the aerial coverage of the heavy rain. But this area here, we had storms form near the South Dakota border and move straight south. This isn't too bad. Some areas picking up over an inch. Now, this is because overnight tonight and tomorrow we'll have another round of showers and storms making their way across South Dakota into southern Minnesota, as you saw there. So let's go ahead and take a look at that forecast then, but I do want to point something out. Do you want to know something? Tell me if you want to know something in the comments, because if you're still on watching, I've got your climate forecast because we've had hot and smuggy weather the last several days. And talking about that, it's kind of fun and interesting to take a peek at our climate forecast. So let's go ahead and do that together right quick. Now, the climate forecast goes beyond Hutch's 7-day planner, which we show you here. These are the temperatures in the Fargo area. Saturday, Sunday, this harvest weather. Cool McChilly on your Monday morning. Look at that 39. Are you kidding me? Yeah, Hutch went a little lower than what you're going to see in other sources, but I have a feeling with my elbow cracking and my toes popping that something's going on with a change in our weather. But we do warm up again a little bit as we go into the middle toward the end of next week. And can you believe that number 828? Are you kidding? That's almost the end of the month of August. I don't know where it went, but let's go ahead and take a look at that forecast now as we go ahead and look at the extended climate forecast. Let me get to the right graphic here, and here we go. So when we're looking at climate forecasts, these get to be less specific about certain or specific temperatures and are a little bit more focused on our chances of being above or below average. Look at the pool cool slap in Oklahoma City, and they'll take it. Talking to my family out there in Arkansas, and they're saying, I got to tell you, Hutch, we could sure use some cool. And look at this, from Memphis to Charlotte to New York City to Akron, Ohio, also Chicago. These areas have a good chance. The blue, the darker the blue, the better the chance of being below average. That's all this says, but it's going to be a nice pool of cool in the 6 to 10 day forecast as I turn this timestamp off, making it a little easier for you to read. Where it's going to be hot is up in the Pacific Northwest. Now, what about precipitous precipitation in that time frame? Here you go. Wetter than average weather is going to be quite likely in central parts of Oklahoma, as well as you folks in northern portions of Utah, northern portions and eastern portions of Nevada, and, well, the basin out there in southern Idaho. So that's where things will be the best chance at being wet. Look at this. A nice harvest forecast here in the northern plains. Yeah, that's right. We've had such wet weather and frequent wet weather. It's been difficult to get the grain off the ground out there. But this forecast over the next few days should give us a chance to see that take place. Beyond that, as we look at the temperature or precip forecast going out into the 8 to 14 day window, things look like we'll still see that wetter than average storm track from Seattle down into the southern plains states. But as far as temperatures go, then when we're looking out 2 weeks, woo, look at that. Still a cool pool, although not as good of a chance at seeing that cool weather in the central plains. For us, we start warming up out around that 1 to 2 week time frame. Any hurricanes out there? What? You guys ask the greatest questions. Let me see if I can find my hurricane forecast. It's under here. Did I put it? Nope, this is my water. Oh, I know. Let's go to the Hurricane Tropical Tracker here. Let's go. Take a look. Yep. Oh, my goodness. There she is. That's Erin. Erin was kind of chug a lug heading toward the central Atlantic coast, the mid-Atlantic coast out there. Now, this was on the outer edges of the winds with that as we looked into North Carolina as well as parts of the Virginias. But this puppy's heading back out to sea, and I say good riddance. So as far as that goes, that's what we're seeing right now. Now, there's a couple of other storms that the National Hurricane Center is monitoring out there way out in the Pacific. But for now, it doesn't look like Hutch is going to be spending too much time talking about hurricanes. And here in North Dakota, I'm not going to do it because we're a long ways. In fact, here in, you know what rugby's known for? What's rugby known for? Type it in. The center, the geographical center of this whole North American continent. That means you're as far away from an ocean as you can possibly get. So our risk of hurricanes here, I'm going to go out on a limb and say pretty low in Fargo. And that's the way I see it. Okay, now let's go ahead and see if there's any other questions. I think that's got us covered. Let's do a final review of the forecast with regards to these storms for tonight. So here we go. Back up to Thief River Falls and Red Lake Falls. We do have a couple of thunderstorms dancing around on the streets. Notice this, heading right into the St. Hilaire area, and a pretty steady and solid swath of thunderstorm activity moving into Red Lake Falls. It is not severe right now. The risk of hail or severe hail is quite low at this particular time. And as we take a look at the higher definition radar data, I know it looks more pixelated, but this is a little better for meteorologists to look at to pinpoint if we're seeing any hail cores in there. And it doesn't look like on the lowest level scan that I'm seeing much from that storm. Maybe it is waning. Look at this. The storms down to the south as we go down towards Aberdeen. I'm going to get onto the Aberdeen radar here and let's see if we can see this one just a little more better. Pardon my poor English. There we go. Okay, so the radar data here from Aberdeen shows that that storm that's moving out towards Madison has a lot of blue in it there. That hail core heading into Appleton and Madison, potentially quite strong heading in. Now, Millbank did have a couple of hail reports out there. That's a 3/4 inch diameter hail and 1 inch diameter hail in and around the Millbank area. Thank you for sharing stars, Rick Fox. It does really appreciate, I do really appreciate your support of Hutch's Weather. I do have some big and exciting announcements going on here coming up soon, and I cannot wait to share with you what's going on. Some of them are the growth of Hutch's Weather, including brand new sponsors helping Hutch carry this project forward. Now let's go ahead and take a look at these hail risks here with these storms that are moving through southern parts of Minnesota. Madison, they just issued a statement from the National Weather Service office out there in Chanhassen by the Twin Cities, and we've got 3/4 inch hail from this line of storms, a possibility with 50-mile-per-hour gusts, according to the National Weather Service. Now moving in towards Appleton, Bellingham, and Madison, though, Lewisburg, boy, that looks like some pretty high reflectivities out there, but this is very high off the ground, and that does not mean that's what's going to hit the ground out there. So keep that in mind. But those storms are heading right over the Minnesota River corridor right now and moving almost due south at this particular time. So the intensity of our storms and the severity of those storms seeming to wane just a little bit. Now I'm going to get that answer for you, who was it that was asking Shane about the forecast for the weekend? Hutch, how long have you had an interest in the weather? Since 4th grade, I was a wee willy winky out there in Montana growing up, had a tornado warning, and saw my first funnel cloud as a 4th grader. And from that time, I was just hooked on learning everything I could about the weather. And I really am a lucky soul to be able to do something I enjoy, and I'll share that joy with you. So thanks for your question there. That's a good one. All right, let's mosey into your forecast, Shane. Thank you for your YouTube questions. And by the way, do me a favor, if you're watching on YouTube, go ahead and click the subscribe button. Remember to hit the notification bell for updates when I'm going on and when I'm going live. If you're watching on Facebook, I'd really love to have you join the 72,000 other folks who have decided to follow Hutch's Weather. Thank you so very much to all of you who have. If you have not, please click that button. It really does help me out. And remember, hutchesweather.com. Anytime, anywhere, you can get detailed weather information, your forecast, interactive radar, and all kinds of places for you to upload and view videos and photos of our recent weather. All right, now let's look at that regional view, and we'll take a look at that forecast with more of a focus on what we are expecting, or what I'm expecting, as we go through and into the weekend. So for those of you heading out to the state fair, that's behind my shoulder, and because I like making sure I'm answering your questions, I'm going to pop-a-doodle this guy over here. So we're going to lose a little bit of Montana in this update, but we will look at your forecast for what we're seeing here with regards to the Twin Cities as we head into the early weekend, and that would be Saturday. So here we go. Whoopsie doodles, the map is popping all over the place. So here it is. I'll give you the day. This is Saturday in the morning. You see these streamers, and this is wind, the isobars. The closer they are together, Shane, the more windy it'll be. Our northern counties on Saturday morning will be quite breezy. It'll be breezy. It'll be a cooler day with falling temperatures heading into your weekend. I would call it comfortably cool to be standing outdoors all day out at the state fair. So it'll be comfortable to get out there. You may even want to take a light jacket with you just to have along. Passing sprinkles cannot be ruled out, but there's nothing wrong with that. I've hit the state fairgrounds for the good old Back to the 50s car show with about 10,000 of my favorite cars and friends, and I'll tell you what, it can be hot out there. So this will be a relieving day. Temperatures will most likely be 65 to 70 degrees. North winds with this type of a pattern here look to be about 10 to 18 miles per hour there, with a few gusts higher than that. Thank you so much for subscribing, Shane. Preston says, is weather going to have a radio station soon in the future? Preston, that's a wonderful question. We'll just have to see what Hutch has up his sleeve for the next step on Hutch's Weather. So that covers your weather for the first part of the weekend. For going a little bit farther than that, let's go out and take a look at the European model real quickly and see what they have to say with regards to our forecast in and around our region for the upcoming week. Now, I mentioned for you producers out there, once we get through this little spell, there'll be some South Dakota storms skirting into southern Minnesota as we go into the weekend. Then these passing northwest to southeast showers, do you see them? Those last until we get into the time time frame on Sunday. And then after that, things are looking a little more better. High pressure sets up shop, and this is cold high pressure rather, and that's going to bring us the coolest weather that we've seen in a while, I believe, on your Monday morning. Now, when we talk about the temperatures that I might expect with this type of chill in the air, let's go ahead and take a look at what this model is showing here for temperatures as we get beyond the weekend. Oh, let me see. What are we looking at? Okay, so let's go into Saturday, Sunday. And I am seeing some temperatures here. That's Tuesday. Let me go back to Monday morning. Oh, Monday. Okay, so this model here, the European model, has us in the mid 40s up here. I think a few of our counties here in the valley could have a chance at dipping down close to 40, maybe 39 degrees. So we'll keep that in mind. Miranda, hey Hutch, thanks for all you do. I sure enjoy the weather update, and I enjoy you watching me. Give me cold, says Brenda, and I couldn't agree more. All right, one last look at that 7-day planner brought to you by my friends at Eventide. Thanks so very much for giving them a look. Give them a call today and take a tour if you're looking for some retirement living that is really a community-oriented place. It's awesome. I've been there. I've seen the smiling faces of both residents and employees. And whether you're looking for a living that is, well, basically you can have independent living, you can have assisted living, or memory care. They offer it all right in that same area. Give them a call today. Tell them Hutch sent you. Look at these temperatures. Cool 60s, lows in the 40s for most, maybe a upper 30 on your Monday morning, the way Hutch's elbow has been treating him lately. Okay, let's now I just want to end with a look at the hutchesweather.com and thank you again for all of your uploads. When I'm live, it'll tell you right on hutchesweather.com. And I want to throw out a big thank you to all of my fine sponsors that you see on hutchesweather.com, including not only up here at the top, Slim's Tree Care. My friend Slim out there, he can take care of your tree work. And you know what? We're getting to the close of the summer season. Not a bad time to have someone who is as expert as Slim at caring for your trees. He is tree risk assessment qualified, so he can take a look at that tree and tell you the best course of action to take with it. And when it comes to climbing trees and making sure that things fall where they're supposed to, he is a precision pruner and specialized in that climbing work that can get the job done for you. Give my friend Slim a call today, and he can get your tree needs taken care of and make sure that you have a professional doing it who has been in the business for over 25 years. Call Slim and his team today. Thanks so very much for watching Hutch's Weather. So, Justin says this went from a slight risk of 1 to suddenly a 2 very quickly with tornadoes. What the heck? I'm going to tell you something. Last week, I was watching the models and I was thinking that there would be a risk of severe weather on this Thursday. And I painted my 7-day several days ago red with an update saying Hutch has a hunch Thursday could bring strong to severe storms. Now, it looked like the storm chances, because of what happened yesterday out to the west, storms out there just didn't fire. There's something called a cap there, and we had one in place here too. So the risk of those storms forming wasn't great, but the reason we had the tornadoes in the area because we had a localized area of low pressure in the region. And because of that, we had an associated warm front with it. And that is just what we need to get a little bit more spin in the atmosphere. Let me show you and see if this shows up here on this surface analysis. Now, notice how far apart these isobars are, but let me see if I can dial it in and show you a little bit more detail by looking at isobars every millibar. And now what you're going to see is what Hutch saw on the forecast maps a few days ago. You got a low pressure system up to the north with a cold front knifing through, and you can see that. But we also have these isolated little areas like this. That is a low pressure center right there. And on the north side of low pressure center, that's a warm front. So we can get storms that form in these areas, like right here. There's a low pressure center, boom, warm front. Now this is now taken over as a cold front. But the idea is that we had some isolated areas of spin in the atmosphere today, and they were setting up and they were visible even on a larger scale forecast model and map a few days ago. Now that doesn't mean we get excited and overworn, but I did highlight it as a chance for some severe storms. So that's why things change so quickly, and I really do understand your concern. How windy for tomorrow and Minot? You'll have a little less wind as we go through your forecast on the western side of the state, but I do think 10 to 23.5 miles per hour means an extra pump of Hutch's favorite, hairspray. And that's why I'm going to stop this and say you want to get super duper hold. North Dakota super duper hold hairspray gets the job done every time. I said that tongue in cheek. All right, Brenda, plants hiding under the patio. Well, I don't think we need to push all of our plants and cover them all yet because it's just not quite that cold, but we are getting to that swing season, particularly when things start drying out with the vegetation around here, that we can see temperatures swing from those 80s and 90s like we've had very quickly to the 30s. So thanks so very much for watching. Shane, I'm glad you had a chance to see a wall cloud in 06. And you can see it rotate. It is kind of fun to watch the weather that closely, and that's something I love doing. All right. Thank you very much. You all have a wonderful evening. Storms heading south tonight, the severity of which seems to be waning. That's good news for Hutch. I'm ready for a little dinner, and I hope you are too. Enjoy your evening. I'll keep you posted right here. Thanks for all your uploads of photos and videos on hutchesweather.com. Until next time, follow on Facebook, subscribe on YouTube, and more importantly, have a wonderful evening.